I should have just said takrivu because Adam is also going on the level of Torah, Zaisa Torah Adam, and the level of there is the level of Gili HaTorah that's to be found dafke in the Karbanis, because the level of the Gili HaTorah is the level that's higher than the world. It comes down into the world, because we really spoke about there's two levels of Torah. There's even three levels of Torah, but in general, there's two levels of Torah. That level of Torah that's removed from the world, and that level of Torah that's is so high that it's not even shy to say it's removed from the world, but rather it's like Mayim Hayardim Makna Goyal Makna Namuch. Water seeks out the lowest place, the lowest area, and because it seeks out the lowest area, it is main places down here. The same thing, the Torah's main places down here because of its connection with Atzmus. And that's also the reason why the Adam can, the human Adam can be makriv the Karbanis, because of his essence, he is higher than the world, and therefore, being that he's higher than the world, he's able to elevate the physical world, which is the whole idea of the Karbanis. So that's the association between Torah and Karbanis. Torah is higher than the world, but with that itself, because of its connection with Atzmos, it's able to come down here to the lowest, and here is its real place. That it searches down the lowest place. The same thing, the Adam is able, because of his highest level, to deal with the elevation of the Doimim Tzmeachai Hagashmim, the physical Doimim Tzmeachai that's used, the inanimate things, the growing things, the animals that are being elevated in the process of the bringing of the Karbanis. So now he's going to continue this with what he was talking about, the idea of the level of Torah. So he says, that's what it says, that this is the Torah Adam, the association between Torah and Adam. What's the connection between the two? That the level of Torah was likened to Adam. Because we said there's two aspects in the Torah. There's Torah the way it's higher in the world. And then there's Torah the way it's Mayim Hayardim Maknavaya, because it's connected with Atzmos, and Hashem's essence wants to have a Dira B'Tachtonim. So therefore the real place of Torah is down here below because of its connection with Atzmos. Similar vein, we find something similar to a person. Adam Shnei Yan, because in Adam they're both components. There are two components as well. There's one thing that a person is called Adam because he, like it says on Pasuk in Shaya Navi, I think it says that I am likened to above. Adam al Shem Shenoitzer min Adam. Another reason he's called Adam is because he was formed from the earth. Adam is from the word Adama, like the Mefarshim Mikra bring down. It's a medrash that says this as well. And that it says over there, the Zeshukar Adam, the Amar Adam Arishan, when Adam Arishan was calling the different animals and so on by the names. So then he says, Ani na lekara Adam. For me, it's appropriate to be called Adam. Because I was created from the ground. Adam from the Adam. So the Friedrich Rebbe addresses a very puzzling thing. We find two aspects why Adam is called Adam. One is a very high level, one is a very great quality, and one is not that good. He's the earth. One is Ed Malalia. So why, when Adam Arishon was speaking about the idea of being called Adam, did he seemingly choose the low aspect? Didn't he be expressing the quality aspect, the higher level? Before Chassidus explain Chassidus, Zeh shekara Adam Arishon Shmai al Shem HaChoyim Guf v'loy al Shem Hatzura Nefesh. The fact that Adam Arishon called his name because of his material part, his body. What was made from the ground? What was Adam that came in Adama? The only part that came in Adama is his body. And what part is primarily the idea of Edmel Elyon, that it's likened to above? That's the level of the nefesh. V'loy al Shem Hatzura Nefesh. He didn't call it by the name of the form, the soul. Seemingly, what's more important? The soul is more important than the body. It's higher than the body, etc. If he should have called his name, if he should have explained his name, he should have explained it based on the spiritual, based on the nefesh, his true being. So the Friedrich Rebbe explains, Adam Rishon b'chachmasa, he's saying that Adam Rishon, through his wisdom, grasped that the fact that his body was formed from the ground, which the ground is doimim, the lowest level, the inanimate thing, not like all other creations, that their bodies were already growing. In other words, like the Alter Rebbe explains right away in the beginning of Torah Or, that he says over there the famous question about why all other creations, the nefesh and the guf, was created simultaneously. And over there, the point behind that question and so on is that right away their bodies were created to be a growing thing. In other words, only a human being, his body was created in such a way that it's l'chatchila, an inanimate thing, and then it's a doimim, and then you need to take that doimim, that clod of earth, and imbue it with life. The body of an animal was l'chatchila created alive. So it means that the body of a person was l'chatchila created lower than all the other creation, because created in a manner of doimim, whereas every other life form on the ground was created initially in a growing state, in a living state. It says that Adam Arishon, as we know, the fact that he was able to call names to all the animals, so it says that was an indication of how great his chachma was. As it's the famous thing when the Malachim said to the Eibishter, why are you creating Adam? The Eibishter said, can you name all the creations? They said not, and he can. So Chachmasim Merum Mishalachem. So Adam Arishon's Chachma was greater than the Malach. So he realized with his Chachma that the fact that his body was formed from the earth, it has an advantage even over his neshama. The higher something is, the lower it descends, the lower it falls. And therefore he appreciated the very fact that his body was made from this low level. That indicates how high it is. So therefore he didn't shy away from identifying himself as mine. I'm called Adam because I came from Adama. He didn't look at it as a negative. He didn't know. He looked at it as an indication of how high it came from. Adam. That's also where it says this, the Torah Adam. Also in Torah we have similar to these two things that we were talking about before. The Torah, the way it's beyond the world, and the Torah, the way it descends in the world. The fact that Torah is beyond the worlds to such a degree that all the worlds are considered insignificant in comparison for that. And that's why we say David HaMelech was punished. How did you compare and say that all the entire world is dependent on one minor detail in the Torah? It's Torah is way higher than that. The fact that Torah is higher in the world, that you can't even give any significance to the world, that is similar to Adam's name being called, I'm similar to Abba. The fact that the Torah descended down here below. explained the previous part of Maimer, because it's rooted in Hashem's essence. So that's similar to the other aspect of the name Adam. While there Shem Adam al Shem Shem Noitzim and Adam, it's similar to the name Adam because he was formed from the earth, and that forming from the earth, similar to the Torah being specifically down here, is a higher quality because of its root is being in the much higher, the most highest level. Third paragraph on Kufiyutes. These two components, these two aspects, in the aspect that we calling Torah, we're likening it to water. The Torah descends below. That through the descent down here below, it comes revealed the root of the Torah, the way it's rooted by Hashem's very essence. So two things. That Mayim means that goes down, and Mayim Torah means that it has a very high root, or through that descent is revealed the high root. This is primarily expressed in the halacha part of Torah. Because the idea of halacha is ruling what to do. It's the greatest type of descent. How Torah affects and manifests itself in the physical world. The root of the halachas of Torah is much higher than the root of all other parts of the Torah. That's explained in the at length in Hamshah Tavri Samavav. When we say about a machlokes in the Gemara that these and those are the words of the living God. So the fact that you can have disparate opinions, in other words, the part that's not in halacha. In halacha, you can't have different opinions. Halacha, you can have only one way. So when you have a discussion, the Gemara before the halacha, both of them are the words of Elokim Chai. But the fact that it still hasn't come down to Ma'aseh, B'chinas Elokim Dafka, that's a lower level of godliness because it's not dealing and manifesting in this world. To be able to reach a higher level of godliness, but halachas are from the name of Yud Kevav Kikemaimer Azal Vavai Ima Shalach Kamoisai. Like Chazal say that Havaya was with him means that the halacha is like him. So Havaya is that level that has to do specifically with halacha. So we see the lower part of Torah itself, the part that has to do with Maisa, with action, that is connected with the highest level in Alakus, the level of Havaya. The Rebbe doesn't just say any level of Havaya, the intention of Shem Havaya over here, the Adlam Chir Shmoya Kol Batzmus is up to the level of his name, the way it's included in the Eibishter's essence. Yecholos Ha'atzmus, it's called the capability of Hashem's essence. There's the level, and before the Tzimtzum, there's different levels in Eid itself, and then there's the capability of the Etzem, and that's the level of the Shmoi, the way it's part of the Eid itself, Tzimtzum, the level of Shem Havai. If we're going to add second paragraph on Kufchav, the fact that the level of water in Torah is primarily in the halachas of Torah, is also referring and connected with the fact that the Chazal says that why is the words of Torah likened to water? Just like we said, the idea also we were talking about before, that water leaves a high place and descends to a low place. But what's the metaphor applied to? So too, the words of Torah only remain by someone that has humility. That's what it means, that it's likened to water that seeks out the lowest place. The Torah also seeks out the person who feels the most humble, who acts the most humble, who is the most humble. It's explained over there again. To be able to zero in to Allah according to its truth. Why they are bittul v'ashiflus specifically through having bittul and shiflus through being in a way of nullification. This is also what the Chazal say, that even though Beis Shammai were perhaps sharper in their perceptions, in their intellect, but the halacha was established according to Beis Hillel because they were easygoing and they took things in strides. They took any attacks upon them. They accepted. Because through their bittul, they reached the essential concealment, meaning they reached the level of Torah the way it's in its highest form. Now he's going to bring it back to what we said before about why it was the Bnei Yisachar were the ones that advised to give the karbanos. We said that there were two reasons why the Shevet Yisachar was the second one to bring the carbon and the seed. One was because they knew a lot of Torah. Another reason is because they advised to give the karbanos. And earlier in the Maimer, the Rebbe connected both of them. Because they were wise in Torah, they knew that the revelation of Torah that we were talking about, the whole Maimer, expressed itself in karbanos. Well, according to this, we can add explanation to this that we explained previously in Siv Daled. The reason why the members of Shevet Yisachar counseled the other Nesiim to offer up karbanos to dedicate the Mishkan, since they knew Torah, and we said that connected one with the other. The Torah, the revelation of Torah is the idea of karban. So the Rebbe is now going to connect it with the idea of bittul that we just now spoke about. The fact that Shevet Yisachar, like, were willing to forgo their honor, and they said that let Shevet Yehuda be makir first and we'll go second only, it's because of the bittul of Shevet Yisachar. Similar to what it says, that part of Beis Hillel's humility was when they gave their opinion, and it was in opposition to Beis Shammai. First, they would give Beis Shammai's opinion and say, Beis Shammai said so and so, but we say such and such. In other words, they gave respect and honor. They had bittul before Beis Shammai. Because of that, they merited, the Shevet Yisachar merited to be able to right on point on the halachic and mevur b'derusha Marash, like it's explained in the Amarim of the Rebbe Marash. According to this, we could say is the idea that their knowledge in Torah brought them to the idea of karbanos. Like we said before, they knew and they were able to advise all the other Nesim to dedicate the Mishkan through bringing karbanos, which the idea of karbanos we spoke about earlier in the mind is birur v'kiyum ha'olam. The whole world maintains its existence through the karbanos. Since their involvement in learning Torah was in a state of bittul, they reached the essence of the Torah, the way it's rooted in Hashem's very essence, like we said before about Beis Hillel, reached the Helama Atzmi of the Eibishter because they're bittul. Therefore, they were aware, they felt that the goal of the knowledge of Torah is to complete and fulfill the intention of Hashem's essence, which we said the intention of Hashem's essence was and the home down below through karbanos, etc. We'll stop over here for questions, but I want to finish the Maimer today, so let's try to keep it on point. Any questions? Okay, last paragraph on page Kufchav Oistes. That's where it says that Hashem called Moshe. So Rashi says, why does it say Vayikra Moshe when really all the times the Eibishter called Moshe before speaking to him, Why dafka over here? זה שלכל דיברס בכל קודמה קריאה לשון חיבור, הוא גם קדימה ומייל, לשון חיבור, הוא גם קדימה ומייל. The fact that before all the times that Hashem spoke to Moshe, Hashem first called him, and the calling indicates love, not that he just jumped into the topic and just said, do this and this, tell the to do such and such. He called Moshe, says, Moshe, come here, I want to tell you. So that shows a love. Now this, so the Rebbe says, Kodma, that it preceded it, doesn't just mean it preceded time-wise. Before he spoke, he called Moshe. But when we use the word Kodma, it means also from the word preceding, it's a higher level. Because the calling is beyond the level of speech. Hashem's calling Moshe was from a higher level and expressed a higher level than the level of speaking to Moshe. But out to such a degree do we see that it's a higher level. It says just plain Vayikra. It says Vayikra Moshe Vaydaber Avaya. It doesn't say Vayikra Avaya Moshe Vaydaber. First says he called without identifying who. And then it says Shem Avaya. So this is also another indicator that Vayikra is higher than the Dibur. Because Vayikra comes, the calling is from Hashem's essence that's beyond Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. I'm sorry. Ella Sha'apol Pikein, still in all. From the very fact that the speech, that calling was prior to the Dibur Davkim, even though calling as an expression of love is a separate concept, not just a preparation for speech. In this context, it's a preparation of speech, but calling to someone shows your love, your connection to that person. But since over here, it's preceding the speech, it's understood that the calling, even though it's a higher level, like we said, it's Vayikra, coming from Hashem's essence, and Vaydaber Havaya is only Yud Kei Vav Kei, still in all, it's connected with the Dibur. Yeah, Shlomo, we could say, the level of the speech and the when he said Vaydaber, we said Vayomer, we said Tzav, of Torah, that's like we said before, them from the level of Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Torah v'gamba dibur pasuk zev v'daber avaya, top of the last page, that it says, and all the times it says in the pasuk dibros and amiros and sivuim and Torah, as well as in this pasuk, it used the word v'daber avaya. And the calling is from Hashem's essence, like we said before. It doesn't say who called, meaning it's a level higher than Avaya. The Indian Vayikra Vayidaber, the joining of the two, Vayikra Moshe Vayidaber, it's the idea of drawing down the level of Hashem's essence. And the revelation of Hashem's essence is beyond Torah in the speech of Torah. And in general, this means the drawing down of the Torah, the way it's rooted in Hashem's essence, like we said before, that's the highest level. That's the level of Adam that can manifest itself and elevate the Karbonis and so on. The Kashas, we can connect this in Mashkos of Vayikra, Ba'alav Zeidam, what it says, Vayikra, with a small aleph. It says the word Vayikra, the Sefer Torah with a small aleph. Like the teaching in the Alter Rebbe that I told the Tzemach Tzedek when he was 3 years old, the famous Hayom Yom, that when the Alter Rebbe took the Tzemach Tzedek into Cheder, and in those days they would learn in Cheder, the first thing they would learn with the 3 years old was Vayikra, and the Tzemach Tzedek asked Alter Rebbe, why was the Vayikra written with a small aleph? And he compared it to the Alter Rebbe went into Dveikis, and he became very, very much very deep entranced in thought, and he explained to him Aleph Ze'era, the Vayikra, the small Aleph of Vayikra, as opposed to the large Aleph that it says in the beginning of Sefer Divrei Yomim, where it talks about Adam. He was he was a great, he was very much aware of his level. So there's a large Aleph, larger than all the levels. The small Aleph Vayikra indicates the humility and bittul of Moshe. Though he knew his qualities, still in all, he did not consider himself important. Even more so, this knowledge brought him to be even lower in his eyes, even more so, like explained over there in that story with Alter Rebbe. Amongst the reasons why specifically is the minor aleph that hints on the bittul of Moshe was specifically in the word Vayikra. There's a lot of places in the Torah where it talks about Moshe and different things about Moshe. We could have had over there a small aleph. Why specifically by the word Vayikra does it have to say the small aleph? So the Rebbe says an amazing thing. Vayikra, we just now said, is the ultimate revelation. It's the revelation from Hashem's very essence. So the Rebbe says, they are bittul shaloi, because through Moshe Rabbeinu's bittul, nasa kli like Vayikra, it became a vessel and a vehicle and a channel for the revelation of Vayikra. It's the drawing down the revelation of Torah the way through the knots in Hashem's essence. Similar to what we said earlier about Yisachar, because they had the bittul to allow Shevet Yehuda to be making the karbonis before them. Therefore, they tapped in to the real meaning and the real idea and the kavanah of the karbonis to be able to bring it down here. Same thing. Moshe Rabbeinu's bittul, as it's expressed, the small aleph of Vayikra, made him a keli for that great revelation of Vayikra of Hashem's essence. And according to this, we asked at the beginning of the Maimer, even though all the diburim that Abishur spoke had Vayikra say beforehand, but we said why specifically here did the Torah go about teaching you that the Abishur said Vayikra? Because it has to do specifically with Parsha Kabbanis. Though before all the times that they said and spoke and commanded, there was Hashem called to Moshe. This idea of Torah that's rooted in Hashem's essence, that Vayikra expresses, is primarily expressed in the fact that the Torah is involved in the halachos of karbanos, to refine the world, and to make the world a home for the and every single year there's a part of Moshe, including also he has the bittul of Moshe. This is a movement for this understood. This idea that we're saying that Hashem called to Moshe, that connection with Hashem's very essence, is also to every single Yid which calls and expresses that love. With Fraten, this is even more so when a Yid is loimed pasuk there, when he's studying this pasuk, so the Eibishter is kaviyachol calling to him, and through the Eibishter calling to every single Yid. By days through that he's also given and being empowered for the avoid of karbonis in the spiritual. He's able to do the spiritual avoid of karbonis. There's a nasach on the kroivel avoid of karbonis comes of close preparation for the service of karbonis in the literal sense. Over there we will do before you, like the mitzvahs of your will. Now, the third base of Mikdash will be built speedily in our days and actually soon in actuality. Any questions?